So start your Bahamas Carnival Weekend with a bang. Join us in Nassau June 6th at 10 a.m. for Just a Lime Breakfast Kickback Big Cup Edition. It's more than just breakfast. It's an experience. Enjoy an indoor-outdoor venue with signature beats from B-Team DJs and Flamingos Bar and Lounge. Feast on a curated breakfast menu and sip on 32-ounce drinks until 3 p.m. Whether you've just landed on the island or need a perfect follow-up on Labor Day, Junkanoo, Just a Lime is the ultimate soca rake and scrape day party. Tickets are selling fast, so grab yours now at carnivalconcierge.online. That's carnivalconcierge.online. Cheers to an unforgettable start to the Bahamas Carnival Weekend. Sponsored in part by BMP Liquidators, The Print Shop, and Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend.
We don't want no cops. We come out to buy bottles.
Get ready for the ultimate experience of a lifetime at the Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend, happening June 4th to the 10th. 6 days of pure, non-stop euphoria, where you will dance, laugh, and create unforgettable memories with your carnival family. Kick off the weekend with a link-up at Flamingos Bar and Lounge. Thursday, June 5th, join the Duddy Crew for a wild ride. Friday, June 6th, we're starting bright and early at 10 a.m. with the B-Team DJs Just a Lime Breakfast Kickback. Then, it's off to La Vie for the premium all-inclusive day party. Later that night, hop aboard the Hello Moving Cooler Fest. June 7th, after the road, we keeping the party alive with Aftermath. Sunday morning, get ready for waves. Wind down the weekend on Sunday evening at Last Line. And on Monday, dive into H2O Monday. What you waiting for? This is your chance to be a part of Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend. 6 days of non-stop euphoria. Visit carnivalconcierge.online or bahamascarnivalguide.com for all the details, tickets, and info you need. Let's make memories that'll last a lifetime. Sponsored in part by the Prince Shop and Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend.
Heart and the soul, taking control. Inside the festival you will find it. Heart and the soul, taking control. Inside the festival you will find it.
You are now tuned in to Inside the Festival, your cultural and carnival resource for conversations around Caribbean communities. Brought to you by Carnival Radio. Today's show is sponsored in part by The Print Shop in Nassau, Bahamas, located in the Commonwealth Plaza, Southeast Street, and Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend, happening June 4th through 10th in Nassau, Bahamas. Today I have with me Dahlia from the carnivalguide.com. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to get into it, but I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what your product is.
I am a non-Bahamian Bahamian lover. I love the Bahamas almost as much as if it were my own country. I've been coming here for a long time. I visit multiple times a year. I'm a carnival chaser. And last year I decided to launch BahamasCarnivalGuide.com, also Bahamas Carnival Guide on Instagram, as a way to distribute information about Bahamas Carnival, another event that I love and is dear to my heart. And I saw a need for a place to have all the information that you need to know to visit beautiful island, the islands of the Bahamas, Nassau in particular, and Bahamas Carnival.
What is the mission statement of Bahamas Carnival Guide?
Really to be like the ultimate guide to Bahamas Carnival. So not only information about Bahamas Carnival, the fetes, the weekend, the road march, but also provide, additional information for visitors, transportation, accommodations, fun things to do while you're here, and hopefully have you come back again.
That's important. Retention. You said that you provide information for Bahamas Carnival. How does your product survive on the off season? What do you deliver on the off season to your audience?
So on the off season, I focus on other events related to the soca world or adjacent to the soca world, parties and events going on in Nassau, as well as helping to promote fellow carnival lovers, whatever they've got going on, radio shows, reposting content, and keeping sort of the excitement alive while we wait for the next carnival to come around, right?
So who's your target audience? Who are you specifically targeting, and why does it matter to them?
Right now, I'm hoping to be targeting locals, people in the Bahamas looking for more information about Bahamas Carnival, but also international carnival chasers, right? The people who are already in the soca scene and traveling to different carnivals every year and hoping to make Bahamas Carnival part of their circuit.
Now you said locals. You're providing information for local Bahamians. Is it specifically in Nassau, or are you looking at the entirety of the Bahamas, the 700 islands?
I mean, ideally, we would get people coming to Nassau for Carnival in the same way that people in Nassau, go to the Family Islands for regattas for the weekend. That's an ultimate goal. Anybody in town for that weekend looking for activities and things to do would also be a target. That's the hope as we grow the community, right? The soca lovers community in the Bahamas.
Growing the soca lovers community in the Bahamas, that's a bigger issue in itself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to people that say that Carnival is dead?
In my heart, I don't believe that at all. I think, is there room for improvement? Did we see a dip, after COVID? Of course, but I think that this is the 10th year since it was established here in the Bahamas, and there is a following. There are people who look forward to this every year, and there's such an opportunity for growth that we were seeing before COVID in the 2019 to 2020 season. That unfortunately, due to a worldwide pandemic, that obviously had an impact on the whole world. But I think that there is room to get back to that, and we just need to be maybe a little more creative and shift, right? I don't think that we can do it in the same way that it was happening before, and it requires a collective effort from all the parties involved, both promoters and people distributing information and band owners, just to see how creatively we can pivot and continue to grow the carnival product.
On your Bahamas Carnival Guide, the Bahamas Carnival Guide is similar to a magazine, but not necessarily in the same frame as magazines were. Your product is more marketing and awareness and information, right?
Mm-hmm.
What content do you prioritize?
So it depends on the time of year. As we are heading into the carnival season, we're almost 100 days away. Haven't checked the day count as of today, but we're very close to that number. So about 3 months are out, and right now I'm prioritizing, upcoming Carnival Week events, as well as information about costumes and how people can register for to purchase a costume package. I'm also updating some travel information, transportation information for people who are planning to be in town for Bahamas Carnival. The rest of the year is, I've actually just recently launched my first blog post, which I'm hoping to grow that side as well, providing my take on things and my perspective on issues, and again, passing on information, right? I'm uniquely positioned that I have some insight and a different perspective on events and the road march, and I think people need to know some of that information, right? The work behind the scenes and everything that goes along with planning a carnival. And I think people, I know I appreciate that insight, and it might appeal to some that hadn't thought about carnival in that way. Because in the Bahamas, it's been a little bit of a touchy subject, right? Not a product that's not Bahamian in the same way that it is on other islands. There was a little bit of pushback culturally, and I think if people understood some other perspectives of it, they might be more willing to buy into the idea of carnival.
Right. We're gonna touch on that because I really want to delve deeper into that.
Mm-hmm.
My last question would, in regards to the Bahamas Carnival Guide, is how do you approach covering controversial or sensitive topics on your site?
So for me personally, and this is maybe a characteristic of who Dahlia is, I don't shy away from controversial topics. I like to sort of address them head on, but I think because it's coming, or I frame them from a personal perspective, right? So there is room for conversation, and I'm always open for conversation. And I think that being respectful in my rhetoric, right, in my commentary of issues, but there are some things that need to be talked about or addressed, and I'm definitely not shy about doing that, and never have been, and I don't think I'm going to start this year.
So you are working with several entities for the Bahamas Carnival Weekend, right?
Yeah.
Respectively, they have created a collective called the Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend, which is a group or a collective of promoters, DJs, and artists working together. Tell us a little bit about the products that you represent and how this all came about.
Besides the Bahamas Carnival Guide, I am directly involved with the Duddy Crew Juve, which takes place on the Thursday before the Road March every year for Carnival. And in addition to that, the newer event called Last Wine, which takes place on Sunday evening. And then, having close relationships with some of the other promoters, just conversations about how we felt like we didn't have a voice in the carnival planning space for Bahamas. I'm a big believer that the Bahamas or the carnival product involves both the road and the events leading up to the road. And, we've talked about this in a previous podcast. We talk about it endlessly amongst ourselves, but in order to attract that international market, those carnival chasers, we need to deliver a complete product. And so I think the collective really came about from a need to have a united voice for all of us to be on the same page, and then to use that united voice, the collective voice, to bring our issues to the table and feel like we're being heard, and taking matters into our own hands a little bit as well, because we were seeing this kind of downward trend, and as carnival event promoters, we know the importance of having the visitors, and I'm a believer that if carnival grows, we all win. From my perspective, that's kind of the fuel, at least from our side, of what led us to start these conversations. And then with other people involved, it has really taken off as this collective entity that's working together to promote and to grow and to maybe even save the carnival product in a way.
Now, I've heard pushback. And I don't know if it's ego or selfishness, but I've heard pushback in regards to the collective and the collective effort and reasons why people wouldn't be involved with the collective. One of the things that I've heard is that by participating in the collective, people that don't want to spend the money or are afraid to take the risk are indirectly being benefiting from that product. Mm-hmm. What do you say to something like that, and how do you address that? Because of course, if you market your product and you're marketing a destination, then ultimately that destination will benefit from it without doing any real work. But how do you address that?
So again, personally, I think it's the risk of doing business a little bit. There will always be those that benefit from the work of others. Right. And I don't know if there's a way to avoid that. And so my approach is to say, what? Again, keeping in mind what we're working towards, what the goal is, right? The goal is to improve the carnival product overall, to attract more international guests, definitely, and to, I think, inform the local community about what carnival is and what it brings to the island. Right. And that's got to be the focus, not, those who benefit without putting in as much or any effort. I don't know if we can prevent that from happening, but maybe we can motivate them to action. That's the hope anyways, to say, hey, you know what you guys are doing makes sense. What can I do, even though I was resistant to it in the past? Right. And I think there's always room for that.
Now, how are you measuring the success matrix? Like, how are you saying, okay, this was successful, or are you seeing success in your marketing efforts at this point? And does it differ from what you've done in the previous years?
So
I know that's a loaded question.
It is, and I'm trying to like decide, there's, again, I see things from a couple different perspectives. So Bahamas Carnival Guide itself, I've seen some steady growth in, followers and engagement on posts, and as well as visitors to the website. So that is easy to measure because that's, I have facts, I have data. And now, will that translate to visitors and to attendees? We have yet to determine that, right? Bahamas Carnival Guide just turned 1 on February 10th. So
congratulations.
Thank you. And so I guess, time will tell if that steady growth in engagement and followers is turning into actual attendees, right? As far as from the promoter side, we, despite the seeming drop in the carnival product, or the lack of engagement, or whatever you want to call it, we have seen growth in our event attendees. I'm directly involved with the logistics of registration and tickets and things like that for both events, and I have, again, data to show that our numbers have increased steadily over the years since we started putting on these events. We have increased our online presence over the last year. We are working with the collective, right, to increase visibility across different markets. And again, the hope is that we will see an increase in attendees and paying customers. And so I'm interested to see what those numbers will look like in June.
Yeah, I guess we wait till June to see what the results are.
Yeah.
Currently, tell us a little bit about, firstly, Dutty Cruise 2025 presentation and what your expectations are. Like, what first of all, what is experiential expectations, or what can people expect when they participate in this year's production of Juve?
So this is actually Dutty Cruise's 5th year in producing this event, and we're excited. Last year we saw a real improvement on our end as far as the quality of the event, and even just starting on time. That was always something we struggled with, a criticism that we received, and we listened to. We heard the feedback, and that was a goal for us in 2024, and we executed, in my opinion, quite well. And I think we've really fine-tuned our planning process and everything that we need to do on our end to provide a quality event. And so it being our 5th year on the road, we're hoping to bring back the vibes that people are used to, a comprehensive and it's an all-inclusive event. So your drinks, the ticket price, people always sort of, especially in the Bahamas, when all-inclusive events are not the norm here. So when they see the ticket price, we always get a little bit of pushback, but you have to keep in mind that not only are you paying for entrance to the event, but you're paying for the bar. That includes all your drinks. You're paying for a snack either before or after we get back from being on the road. Paint and powder is included. You get a t-shirt, you get a drawstring bag, and additional goodies like in the bag. And so when you really break it down and you consider what you're spending on a night out, it really is cost effective. It is a one-time payment that you have to make in advance, but once you're here, you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to carry any cash with you. There won't be any, things to purchase at the venue. We have a couple surprises hopefully in the works, something a little bit different. I'm really pushing to bring in more of what I consider to be, the Bahamian culture, and hopefully we can integrate that into Juve and really provide a chance for cultures to meet, right? For this event that's not necessarily in the Bahamas tradition, but how can we combine the two? But the vibes are always there. The music will be there. We have 3 international DJs already in the lineup, plus some of the favorites in the soca scene locally being released shortly. And it's guaranteed to be a good time, and I will put my name on that.
All right. Well, listen, I can tell you from experience covering it with Inside the Festival and actually having people come out from various countries to participate that are carnival chasers and soca lovers. I've had people say to me that they are only returning to the Bahamas for 2025 because of the Dutty Crew Juve. They've even said that they will only come for Thursday.
And while I do appreciate that, if you're coming, make a weekend out of it. You're here already.
Well, we can talk them into it, but that was their stamp of approval for Bahamas. They were like, "You little Dutty crew." They said, I've heard people that have participated in various Juves say that, and they even host their own. They said that that the Dutty Crew's Juve was on par, if not better, than Trinidad. And I was like, "Oh, that's a little something," but
Well, and I'm happy to hear that, because having been to multiple Juves, in different countries, different islands, despite my, obvious biased opinion, I agree. Like, it's just, it's such a, I don't know what it is about the Bahamas in that night, but it is pure vibes, and I have never not had a good time. It's I don't know, and it's hard to convey the feeling. I really just hope that people will join us and experience it for themselves.
Well, it's a nighttime Juve is perfect, especially in the summertime. It's cool, and you're riding down the streets with the vibe. You're not disturbing anybody, because we're in I wouldn't say a business area.
Yep.
There's no disturbance to the residents, and you just have the opportunity to be free, and that is the number one. That is the number one thing behind the idea and concept of carnival in itself.
Yeah,
it is a freedom of expression. Now, Sunday, you take your last wine. Tell us a little bit about that and where that came from.
Again, as carnival people, we never want the party to end. We know what the feeling of the sadness, the deep sadness you get when you've, gone to your last fete, and you got your arm full of bands and you got to take them off, and it's time to head home. And so we wanted to give people one final opportunity to cool down, to catch that last wine before heading home to get ready for the week, or get ready to go back to wherever they came from. For me, it's always going back to Canada. I always get so sad when I have to leave. And then we all do. Yeah, it's always a bittersweet. I'm thrilled to have been here and very sad to go home, and then happy to be at home. It's just, I don't know. I have a lot of feelings when I leave this island, but and last wine is really and we've tried to yes, there's lots of soca, primarily soca, but then we like to blend in a little bit of some different genres, some dance hall, some Afrobeats. Last year we had a little R&B session too, which was really fun, and just again give people an opportunity to come and hang out, and for us promoters, last year was a chance for us to just finally catch our breath and sit and have a chat and enjoy some music and some drinks. We had a local food truck join us you could purchase some dinner while you were there, and it was absolutely delicious. This year we're hoping to expand that repertoire and offer a couple of options. But yeah, just a nice chill vibe, chance to catch up and relive some of your carnival memories before heading home.
The last wine, open bar experience for
Yes.
under $100. I need that to be said. An open bar experience for under $100. You know, I think when we use the word inclusive, people don't understand that. I had an inclusive event for New Year's, and I kept getting people calling saying, is a liquor free? And I'm like, I don't understand how many different ways I can say free liquor. So I think it's imperative that when we having this conversation, because a lot of people may not understand what drink inclusive means, or it's an open bar.
Yeah.
It's an open bar. You pay your $50 or you pay your $60 or $70, whatever it is. It's an open bar under $100.
And like I said, when you really break it down and you're going, if you're going out anywhere for drinks, you are spending that or more for one person, right? So it really is a great deal.
$110 on a bottle of, I think, a bottle of Tito's. And I was like, Tito's, 110? I could get that at the store. But, I'm glad I don't drink. I'll be like, I drink water. That's always free. Yeah, when you think about it from the bottle perspective, because we have become a culture of bottle poppers, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to buy bottles in the club now. I just had a conversation with someone about my best days of my life was bashment parties in Canada, and driving around the west side of Ontario looking for the party over in Jane and Finch area, listening for the vibrations in the ground, and going to these parties and coming out at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. No phones, none of that. And all we was drinking, I mean, at that point in my life, the liquor was illegal. Like we weren't allowed to, we were very minors. But we was drinking beers. We were drinking really horrible Labatt's beer and whatever was available. But those were some of the best party experiences of my life.
Yeah.
And say that to say, this party, this open bar for under 50, for under 100. Let me not say under 50. This open bar for under 100 is a great value. And plus it's luxury liquor. This is not, Bahamians don't drink. We don't drink bottom shelf.
Right.
So you're never gonna get a bottle of a house liquor. You're definitely getting branded liquor. Well, that's my 2 cents in regards to that. This is a great. The entire weekend is great. The Duddy Crew Juve is one of the best experiences that you will have, hands down, throughout the Caribbean and the U.S. I implore you to go ahead and get your tickets now. Early tickets are now available. Where can they find the tickets, Dahlia?
So they can find the tickets at the duddycrew242.com website, from bahamascarnivalguide.com/events. There's links there. If you hop over to Instagram, the Duddy Crew 242 Instagram, there's a link tree in the bio that has a link to tickets. And if you don't want to use any of those avenues, you can always pop into Eventbrite and search Duddy Crew Juve, Nassau, Bahamas, June 5th, 2025.
Same thing for the last wine.
Same thing for last one. And on Instagram, you can find us at World Class Events. The link is in the bio, and then as well as BahamasCarnivalGuide.com has a direct link to the ticketing website, and tickets are on Eventbrite, so you can search Last Wine, Nassau, Bahamas, June 8th.
To make it easy for everybody, we implore you to go ahead and visit BahamasCarnivalGuide.com for more details and information on all of the events and activities that are happening for the weekend of June 4th through 10th in Nassau, Bahamas. There are 6 days of nonstop activities. And like Dahlia said, she is personally a part of the Duddy Crew Juve and Last Wine. So you definitely want to go ahead and purchase that. Is there anything that you would like people to walk away with when they either visit Bahamas Carnival Guide or participate in any of the events that you're affiliated with?
I really hope that people walk away with the desire to come back, right? That's always the goal, that retention. Like I said, I've been coming to this island for this is my 19th year of visiting the Bahamas. From the first moment, I was hooked. And I hope that it's the same for, everybody else. Visit BahamasCarnivalGuide.com for some information. I hope that gets you excited to visit for that first time. Come to the events, have fun at our open bar events where you don't have to buy the same bottle as your friends, because you can just go to the bar and get whatever you like to drink, and want to come back next year and bring your friends, because I think that's the key. Providing a wonderful experience that people want to share with their friends.
This has been Inside the Festival with yours truly, Africa Law. Today's show has been brought to you by the Print Shop in Nassau, Bahamas, your number one solution for small and large prints, located in the Commonwealth Plaza on East Street South. Additionally, Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend happening June 4th through 10th in Nassau, Bahamas. For more details and information, visit BahamasCarnivalGuide.com. In the Commonwealth Plaza on East Street South. Additionally, Bahamas Carnival Fete Weekend happening June 4th through 10th in Nassau, Bahamas. For more details and information, visit BahamasCarnivalGuide.com.